Hello, hello, hello. Hi, welcome. I am Sylvia Hayes, and you are watching Good News at Prime Time. Today, our show is Loving Me. Loving Me. You know, a lot of people have a problem in loving themselves. So today, we're going to focus on loving me because it's important to love yourself. A lot of people, they don't love themselves, they have low self esteem, but we don't want that to happen. And sometimes it's stem from what people tell you that makes you have low self-esteem. If you're dyslexic and you can't do what everybody else do, that's going to bring your self-esteem down. But guess what? Even though you're dyslexic, you can do stuff that other people can't do. So you think about it, where you're weak at, somebody else is strong, but then where you're strong, they're weak. So it still balances out. So I'm going to encourage you to always love yourself. You may have some weaknesses, but then there's a lot of strength in you also. So just remember to love yourself. Just love yourself always, okay? Because it's important that you do. And we're going to go ahead and bring on my co-host with me. Oh, before we do that, I got to talk about my book. Yeah, book, Power Thoughts, Empowering You to Be Successful in Life. Go ahead and get that book. It is so powerful. There's a lot of stuff in this book that will help you if you have low self-esteem. There are things in there that will inspire you to lift yourself up, hold your head high, okay, and do the right thing for yourself, not for somebody else, but for yourself. So you can get this book at ankproductions.com, ankproductions.com, or you can always Google the book. Of course, Amazon has it also. Okay, go to Amazon, Power Thoughts by Sylvia Hayes, and get your copy. It will benefit you so much. It will benefit other people too. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and bring on my co-host Reggie Drummer. Hey Reggie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great there, Miss Sylvia. And good shout out to the good news audience out there. I hope you continue to like, share, and subscribe over here and hit that notification button. Square Mile Media Atlanta, talking about one of our favorite subjects, self. The law of self preservation. Take care of yourself. Have some love
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. You know, so loving me. If you can't love yourself, it's gonna be hard for you to love somebody else. Oh, it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, and then some people love other people more than they love themselves. But the power thought for today is never let anyone dictate to you how you should feel about yourself. Never let
Hmm?
anyone dictate to you how you should feel about yourself because some people will say you're stupid. So you're supposed to feel like you're stupid and you're supposed to act like you're stupid. So you don't want to do that. If somebody say you're stupid, you tell them they got a problem. I'm not stupid. You know, now you are, even if you don't tell them, you know within your heart that you are not stupid. They may be stupid, but you're not. Okay, because people will do that. You're stupid, you're crazy, you don't have any sex, you're dumb, and all that other stuff. And people will say this and label you to make you feel bad about yourself, but you can't let that happen. Because a lot of times people are labeling you because that's the way they feel about themselves. You know, they may feel that they're stupid, so they gonna point that finger at you. But guess what? When you point that one finger that way, you got all these others coming back at you. So when you're pointing your finger and calling somebody a name and making them feel bad, you think about what you're doing to yourself or how you feel about yourself. So never let anyone dictate to you how you feel about yourself. Even though some people may say it and they don't know that they are hurting you, but it hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
when they call you stupid. You just as stupid. You know that hurts. You know, and
Well,
when you feel stupid, you don't put your best foot forward because people already expect you not to do that. You know, so I know you were
well,
getting ready to say something.
a lot starts in our household. You
Yes.
know, right in our house. Our mother and our fathers are usually our first teachers. You grow up in a
Mm-hmm.
house, I forget a lot of the things they say, but if you grow up in a house where there's a lot of condemnation, you're gonna learn to kind of be reserved. Don't want to say that because everything you say somebody done checked it, put it under some rule. If you grow up in a house with some love and understanding and empathy, you're gonna be compassionate. You're gonna love other people. If you grow up in a household where you are allowed to express yourself, you can be in a position where you accept others' opinions and things of that nature. So a lot of what we learn about loving ourselves starts in our home. Off the record, if your mama didn't like herself or your daddy didn't like himself, guess what?
You might not
Unless
be
you can
liking
break that
yourself.
mold, yeah,
Yeah,
unless you can break that mold, now it can happen, but it's going to take some therapy and some other things to get you out of that because we are a byproduct of our parents,
yeah, yeah, we
the
are.
people that brought us into the world. And then even outside of your parent, whoever you spend the most time with will determine how you behave, how you care about yourself. You know, a lot of the
Hmm.
things that we do are predetermined by those we hang around. Now, some we don't have a choice. You don't have a choice who your mama and your daddy gonna be. Now, not to put it down like that, but they could be crackheads, they could be rapists, they could be killers, murderers, all of that. But there are
Yeah,
people that have been in those biological connections, yet they were able to break the mold. They were able to become great people. They were able to become people that loved themselves, thought a lot about themselves, but they needed some help. So a lot of people, when you think about it, unless you get some type of help, it might be very difficult. I always think about Apple computer, Steve Jobs. Steve
hmm.
Jobs never got a chance to meet his dad.
Oh, really?
Nope.
I
His
didn't know
daddy,
that.
yes, interesting story about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs' daddy actually used an Apple computer in his business. So the closest he came to his son was his use of the Apple computer. I think they sent each other an email before he died.
Mm.
But the closest now, this is his biological daddy. Now you know that had to affect him in some way. Steve Jobs was kind of standoffish, even though he was a genius. But a lot of that background of the interaction he had with his parents. You can take Barack Obama. Barack Obama had a loving mother, so he was able to overcome some of the shortcomings of his dad. Even though he got an opportunity to meet his dad, he was an opportunity to go to Kenya and talk to his, be with his family, all of that.
Hmm.
So a lot of how we care and feel about ourselves is predetermined by our relationships with our parents.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And a lot of times when it's the parents is calling you stupid, you know, they don't know that they are harming you and they're causing psychological damage. But
Oh
sometimes
yes,
they do it out of anger and maybe they just want to straighten them up or something. I don't know. But a lot of times, because I know someone whose parents were calling them stupid all the time, and it damaged them. You know,
okay,
it caused a deep rooted pain. And they said that they would never call their child stupid because that person knew how it felt to be called stupid by the parent. You know, so it's damaging.
yes, and um, that's why parenting skills uh, are being looked at. I think the first emphasis of parenting skills involved Dr. Seuss. Here in modern day, when they got the baby boomers, that's when people start figuring out what you say to a young kid is very impressionable and
Hmm.
can follow them throughout their life. Now, I have to look at certain things and I have to really be clear when it comes to black people. Okay. A lot of these things weren't really enforced in black families. Okay. We were, you know, uh, there's certain things that we just didn't do, whether it was because of the restrictions the slave masters put on black people, and therefore they kept those restrictions throughout our growing up, especially people that were born what we call baby boomers. Most of the young
Uh-huh.
baby boomers, black baby boomers, didn't get a lot of counseling, didn't get a lot of therapy, you know. So they in turn uh, raise their children accordingly. Uh, Now you look at families, and not all of them, but in some families, especially in the absence of a father, you got a lot of yelling and cussing and screaming because of frustration. And those frustrations are put on the kids. And the kids, in turn, act out. That's why they tend to be a little bit more hostile. They tend to be a little bit more wanting stuff. And even in families where you got good money, you got two parents, but the selfishness of parents. Maybe it's the father that's going out and doing what he does, and the woman, she's going out doing what she does, and the child grows up with no love. It knows that it can get anything it wants, it can have anything it wants, but it doesn't have compassion and it doesn't have the ability to interact with other people. So therefore, it develops anti-love for itself. It can only get love through possessions and things that you buy it, rather than human love.
Yeah, so parents need to take the time to interact with their children and show them love. No, that is so
Yes,
important. You know, even when you're
yeah,
disciplining them, you letting them know, I know it's gonna hurt you. Like they be saying, it hurt you more than hurt me, but I love you and I have to
yes,
teach you. You know, so that's important. You're doing it out of love, not just out of anger and being mean. You know,
oh yeah.
you're doing this out of love. So, because I want you to do the right things, and I know want you to understand that there are consequences for your actions. So, I'm doing this out of love. I love you. You know, So, and a child would take a discipline better. You know, rather than mama woman, she
Oh,
ain't gonna
sure.
never do that again. You know, because sometimes kids they can get upset and want to run away from home because they're on punishment. You know, but if they understand that they're being loved and it's for their benefit, then maybe they won't run away. They'll take it better. They'll take it better because they are loved.
Well, anytime you express, and I think one of the parenting skills that came out of the Dr. Seuss, and now you got a lot of others, is having kids express themselves. You'll notice in a lot of modern day families. Now it was kind of taboo in black families for a 5-year old to tell you what he wants to eat, how he feels about this, how he feels about that. But we're starting to open up, and that gives the child an opportunity to develop some skill sets for themselves, and they love themselves early in life. When you start loving yourself early in life and appreciate who you are, you have a tendency to be a better human being.
Yeah, yeah, you do. And in loving yourself, just remember to always love yourself more than you love anybody else. Because a lot of people they loving their spouses, and they love their spouse more than they love themselves, and they take crap off their spouse because they love them, and they love them more than they love themselves. uh, Domestic abuse, you know, they take that stuff because they love their spouse. But then me, it's like I love me too. I love me more than I love you. And I'm not gonna let you do me like that because I love me. So people got to understand you got to love yourself. Love yourself so much that you want the best for yourself. You always want the best for yourself. You don't want somebody to just treat you any kind of way because you don't deserve that. If you feel like you deserve the best, demand the best. Don't let anybody just treat you any kind of way and get away with it because people will use you and abuse you, just because they can. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to stand up. This ain't happening. Even with your friends, sometimes your friends will they make mockery out of you. They just say all kinds of things to you and about you and make you feel bad. They joking or something like that, but you feeling bad about it. And they always do it. So You got to put a stop to it. Hey, don't do that.
Well, once again, if you come out of a household where you being taught these things, self-respect. If you come out of a loving household, if you got the fundamental, a loving mama, loving daddy, they allow you to express yourself, they allow you particular freedoms, then you in turn would do that when you get into the outside world. You would set boundaries. You set boundaries on what people can say about you. And that starts early. That starts early in life, setting boundaries, not uh, allowing yourself to be at the bottom all the time, to express yourself in such a way that, yeah, you might not be, not, you don't have to be arrogant and so like a bully, but you have to stand up for yourself. And these are principles that are taught from families. You know, if you're not being taught that in your family, if you don't see, uh, even it could be a single family, it could be a family where there's got a mother, father, typical family, but they too have to exercise these things. You have to see that in them. You have to see the relationship between your mama and your daddy. How do they handle
Mm-hmm.
arguments? Does he put her down? Does she put him down? How do they handle things? And if you see that and you understand that at an early age, you start practicing that. You start practicing that amongst your peers, whether you in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, throughout life, and then even when you start to raise your own family. But you got some uh, fundamental things that must be put out so that you'll start loving yourself at an early age. Now I know sometimes people they can tell you. I know a lot of people say, well, this the smartest baby ever been born. My baby, he's so smart. He crying at one. I ain't seen a baby do what my baby. Now you can overemphasize and make your baby a super genius. I always think about Forrest Gump. And there's a scene where they said, man, boy, your mama must really love you. Because his mama, even though Forrest Gump, they didn't show his daddy, but his mama, and he had some handicap, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But mama put him in a position where he loved himself. He didn't get so depressed where he said, man, I'm Forrest Gump. He felt good about saying his name. You know what I'm saying? He felt good about getting into things and doing things and exploring. He wasn't a recluse. He was an open-minded person, even though that particular character had some deficiency. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
he loved himself.
Yeah.
And what's that lady? Jenny.
And what now? What did you say?
He loved himself and he loved Jenny. The
Oh yeah.
girl, his childhood sweetheart, and all that's important. Having all those things, a loving family relationship, a loving community relationship, it helps you to be a better overall person. And then that helps you even when you get a job, when you grow up and start raising kids, when you go up and be in the community, it makes you be a better person all around. Because just imagine this. I saw somebody, I know they had a bad childhood. They was working at McDonald's. I said, man, they must have called hell when they was growing up, because they was in turn exercising that behavior behind the counter at McDonald's.
Mm.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's transcended into that behavior of how they treated people. I mean, I didn't get a chance to, take them and lay them on the couch, but I could tell that lady had some mental problems, and it probably started with her family, and she was
Yeah.
probably about 22 years old.
Yeah. That home training do count. It does count because I've always been taught to be a loving person. Tough but loving. you know, so I mean, it's even just in my genes. Period. To be a loving person, to stand up for myself, and to love
That
me.
goes back to your parents, what they taught you, how they felt about themselves. And in turn, that demonstrated how you would eventually feel about yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yep. Yep. And my mom never showed any sign of low self esteem. none whatsoever. My mom always been a tough cookie, and I guess maybe that's where I got it from, being a tough cookie. My dad was soft, but my mom was a tough cookie. He was easy going. Let's put it like that. My dad was easy going. So I got some of both of them traits. Yeah, that's the way I look at it, and I'm loving myself some me.
Yeah, but
Loving
that's
myself.
good. That's good. Even uh, you know, you look at households. Uh, I would say my early influence came from my grandparents. Okay,
Mhm.
even though I was a quiet, shy kid growing up, when I got home, they treated me like I was king. You know,
Really?
I felt good coming home. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't wait to get home. And even when I was in school, growing up in school, because my brother was my best friend, my twin brother. So I liked going to school. And I had somebody that was there with me. So uh, a lot of things like uh, talking about people, you know, we were kind of used to talking about people, okay?
Uh-huh.
And running dozens and stuff like that. So we developed a sense of humor early. You know, I think by the time I hit the fourth or fifth grade, we was good with the mouth. Talking. We could. We probably still couldn't fight, but we could keep you off of us. By the time I was fourth, fifth grade, people call you four-eyed because I started wearing glasses, but I could say something to them to make them feel just as bad for not having glasses. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when you learn coping skills at an early age, it helped develop self-esteem. Uh, and the school that I was in, it helped the teachers. I had loving teachers. Um, I was in my elementary school was uh, I would say 98% black. So I had some healthy black teachers. My first grade teacher, second, all the way up, principals. So I had people that were not making me feel bad. I know some people that said, "Man, teacher told me I'd never be nothing. Uh, uh, you can give it up. You can't learn your ABC. You'll never learn your timetable, and you'll be nothing." I mean, can you imagine? I can't imagine being in the sixth grade and somebody telling me that.
Yeah, me either. I've
Oh,
never had that problem. I've never had anybody to just downgrade me. No, I no. Well, at the train station one time, but
okay. What
his
happened?
opinion didn't matter because he talked about me because I wasn't a one night stander, you know. So I
Oh,
didn't care, the way he was talking. I didn't care. It hurt me for him to think that way. I did cry. I cried because of his mentality, not because of the way what he was saying about me. Because I didn't care what he said about me because I knew I was right. But just the fact that he had that mentality was a painful thing. That's about it for me. You know.
well, when you learn um, as a peopleologist, I became a peopleologist probably maybe 30, 40 years ago. But that's the study of people. I've been studying people. All of us are people. We study people and we learn personalities and different things. Like you say, different uh, situations help. I think the earlier you develop love for yourself, the better and stronger you are. They say it's
Mm-hmm.
good to have those underlying skill sets early. That's why uh, you encourage women if they're having kids not to be talking bad about the kid. You just like your sorry daddy. If you're doing that while they in the womb and when they come out, guess what? They're going to develop some degree of low self-esteem. But if you uplift, you see a lot of people that want to have kids. They singing to them. They're doing all kind of stuff during that time period because they understand the importance of nurturing a child into the world. Now, when you can get that, you can have a better uh, shot at life because you want your child. to have the best shot at life. That's the whole point of a parent. When two people come together to create a child, their whole mission is to create something that's going to have a great chance of survival. So you got to equip it with love. You got to equip it with compassion. You got to equip it with good learning skills. You got to teach it. You don't want it to go out ignorant and stupid, you know. And you ignorant and stupid without being called ignorant and stupid. When you train the kid to go out, and I use Forrest Gump. Now you think about Forrest Gump. Yeah, according to the story, he grew up in somewhere in Alabama, backwoods, Alabama. Could have been back Alabama, Mississippi, or New Orleans, wherever. But he had an open mindset when it came to other people, even people of different colors. Because his best friend was what? Bubba.
Yeah.
When Bubba got killed, Forrest Gump went nuts. That shows that he was in a household of compassionate, or at least one compassionate parent that wasn't spewing out hate and all this type stuff. See, when you get families that are, most, but all young people are born, all babies are born without hate, with good self-esteem and all that stuff. It's the parents that either limit that or put something in it that
Or
retards the
enhance
progress.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, enhance
so
it.
it's important that we learn good parenting skills, so that your child can be the best they can be. I always look at, case in point, a lot of serial killers, a lot of kids that are going in school, shooting up stuff, all this type stuff. Some of them come from two-parent households, but it was a lot of hate, discontent, a lot of moaning, groaning, and those kids in turn acted out in a way that their parents had put them, even though that's why they hold the parents accountable for your behavior until you're about 17, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. And I tell you something else, you can't let other people influence you when you're trying to encourage your kids to be good and kind. Because I remember when my baby was a baby, I was telling her how pretty she was. And then an associate said, "You stop telling that child that. She's going to grow up being conceited." This was a baby. Stop telling a baby that she's pretty. You know,
Well, a mother, I've seen some ugly babies. I'm not just putting babies down, but at least a mother is compassionate enough to say, I mean, to everybody, if your mama say something bad about you, you really getting a bad life. It's hard to overcome something your mama say, okay?
mm-hmm.
And our mothers are really our first instructors. I don't care what the household is, unless the mother's been removed from the household, either through death or her own, way of thinking. Uh, Most of the time, women are raising the children. So if a woman has good self-esteem, or if she got low self-esteem, it would internalize into the children, whether they're male or female. If you got a low self-esteem mother and she's raising a daughter, that woman is going to be fighting self-esteem issues all throughout her life. If you got a low self-esteem mother and she's raising a male child, he's going to have some low self-esteem issues when it comes down to relationships between him and a woman, because he's going to look at the women or the men that have come into his mother's life, or the absence of men that have come into his mother's life. And unless he is revealed at some early age of how the behavior of a man should be, the love and respect that should be between a man and a woman, then he's going to have some problems further down the line. So loving yourself starts in the household early, at an early age. It would, in an ideal world, it would be nice if people say, you know what, we're not going to have sex until we talk and discuss this thing, but it doesn't happen that way. 80% of the people on this planet was born without plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And when you're having mates, don't just accept anybody just for the sake of having a mate. Because a
oh yeah,
lot of people say that I'd rather have a broke man than no man.
oh yeah.
God, half a man better than no man. It's like,
It'll
no,
show up later.
I want somebody of quality. high standards. I'm not just going to accept anybody just to have somebody, you know.
Yeah.
And well, you got to teach your children that too. Don't teach your
Yeah.
son. Don't just get a woman just to be having somebody to crawl in bed with. You want somebody of quality who's going to enhance your life. And the same thing with a woman, somebody who's going to take care of you, who's going to be treating you kind and gentle like a queen. You know, you don't want a man just to have a man and he gonna come home, beat you up and call you all kinds of names and take your money, you know, pimp you out, all that kind of stuff. You don't want that. Just for the sake of having a man, you're not gonna go through that. You gotta love yourself. I love me. I love me enough to not be with you. You know, if I gotta be
Oh
by myself, I'm gonna do that because I'm not taking that crap. You know, you
yeah.
gotta love yourself. You gotta love
Well,
yourself. Cause some people they just don't. They just take anything, you know, just for the sake of having a man. They let their children go through abuse from a man just for the sake of loving that
well
man or
that
having that man in the house. No,
well
you
that
love your kids first. You can always get another man, but you can't get another Sally in a suit. You can't get another
I,
one of them. You love your children first, and that man gonna come second. Don't put those that man in front of your kids. No, because you put the man in front of the kids, the man gonna treat you any kind of way, and he might even walk off and leave you. Gonna take your money or whatever he gonna do. You know, that's
well,
not good. That's not a good self-esteem. No, you love
yeah.
yourself more than that. You got to love yourself more than that.
Well, in an ideal situation, in an ideal situation, none of that happens. But unfortunately, we are no longer in ideal situations. Okay,
You're right.
women find women find themselves. Uh, you know, some women have lost a man because of death or imprisonment or other circumstances, or even the father just not showing up at all, disappearing out of the child's life completely. But at some point, there must be clarity. Uh, you know, and I know a lot of times people put a lot of responsibility on a woman. They say, well, hey, well, she don't need to have no more kids, this and that and that and this. But uh, you got to take care of who you have and what you have. Even a man outside that has kids and he makes them feel good. He takes care of them. I think it's biblical where a man should take care of his kids. There's a brother, I think he in the Bible, Abraham. Abraham had two sons. Okay, he had one from Sarah and one from his handmaid, but he made sure they was taken care of. Now Sarah had some problems. She couldn't deal with the handmaid, I think Hagar, and she treated her bad and all that stuff. But what Abraham did, he took care of his firstborn son, which was born to Hagar. But in today's society, because men are not doing that, that puts a lot of burden on the woman, and in turn, she looks at some type of supplement, and that's a substitute man that comes in and hope that he fulfills her love, her finances, her relationship, and all that. But like I said, in an ideal situation, that would not happen. But that's the world that we live in. So we have to dig deep down, and sometimes you got to get help to develop self love. One of the things, and I've been doing it. I didn't even realize I was okay. As a black male in America, as a black male in America, I had to learn how to frolic.
How to frolic?
Yeah,
Okay, explain that.
okay, just have a good time,
Oh,
run around, I
okay.
relax. A lot of times, women have a tendency to have some fun and frolic with their kids. You know, you can see it in the animal kingdom. They play, they nurture them, all that type of stuff. But a lot of
Mhm.
time, men, especially if they're not taking care of their kids, they don't have an opportunity to have some playtime. But if you frolic, if you're a man and you want to develop some self love for yourself, find a way to enjoy yourself without drugs, alcohol. Now, some men they say, "Well, I frolic," but they was high, okay, or they was intoxicated on alcohol so much until they didn't even know what was going on. But I'm talking about having fun with me, myself, and I without any outside ingredients. I'm talking about running around the park. And I slid down a sliding board today.
Mm. I'm
Every now and
sorry.
then, yeah. I mean, it was hard. I had to practice doing it because I hadn't been on a sliding board in a long time.
Yeah, no have I.
But
Yeah.
I did it. I slid down that sliding board and it felt so good. People were looking at me. Now, especially as a black man in America, you got to do some things that make you happy. And in turn,
Mm-hmm.
when you start loving yourself, you express love for other people. People that have love for themselves have a tendency to love other people at a higher rate, and they still maintain the boundaries that are necessary to people say, well, I love myself, and then they overlove or extend that love to other people. Now you don't have to love people so much that you hurt yourself. The
Yeah.
law of self-sufficiency is still the law of the land. You got to take care of yourself. They say in an airplane, if the plane's going down, when that air mask comes down, put it over your mouth first and cover yourself.
Yeah.
Make
And
sure you're
then
getting
get to
some air,
everybody else.
and then you worry about somebody else. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. If you just jump it, this guy, he drowned trying to save his daughter. He drowned. He just jumped in the pool and wasn't thinking. Now he went down as a hero, but if he had thought, you know, about, and mothers do it without hesitation as well. But sometimes we got to think. You got to try to save yourself first. You got to care enough about. We say help myself so that I can help my child and my family and my community. If you put so much of yourself out there, if you love something more than you love yourself, you're gonna find out you got a problem. If you love your job more than you love yourself, you're gonna have a problem. If you love your family more than you love yourself, you're gonna have a problem. If you love your church, your mosque, if you love your country more than you love yourself, you're gonna have problems because
Yeah.
you can have things out of order. And you're gonna find yourself when the country lets you down, you're gonna want to tear up and blow up the country. When the church lets you down, you're gonna want to blow up the church. When your family lets you down, you're gonna want to go in there and shoot up and kill up your family. We see these scenarios all over. There was a recent family guy went and killed everybody in his family.
Mm. Yeah. It'll happen. And when you're talking about the job, a lot of people love their job more than they love themselves. They be sick, can barely walk. They got to go into their job. They need me. They need me. But if you die off, they're going to replace you so quick. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
and I tell people, if you sick, you take care of yourself first. You can get another job, but you can't get another you.
yeah.
Take care of yourself. Don't go to work if you sick. Because you
Well,
ain't
your
doing
job,
nobody any good.
your job. Nobody wants you to come and be sick. Okay. Uh, no, see that's a mental problem. That's somebody that needs some help. Okay. Now we have to face the fact. A lot of people that don't understand how to practice self-love got a mental condition. Okay. They have a mental condition. Anytime you love something else more than you love yourself,
Yeah.
okay, you got a mental condition. Okay. Now people say, oh yeah, man's gotta love his wife more than he loves himself. A woman's gotta love his or but a man, if you got a woman that love you more than she love herself, she'll kill you
Mm.
because she doesn't have enough sense to stop loving you. So she said, if I can't have no, ain't nobody gonna have it. A man the same way. A guy say, you know what? I love my wife. Don't nobody gonna have her but me. He'll kill you before he comes to his senses because the law of self-preservation said, well, hold it. Give us some freedom. Give us some space. Let her be free. But if he doesn't love himself, that means the only thing he loves is you. And when you take you away, you say, I'm going to California. And that guy will kill you before he lets you go to California because he thinks he owns you. Now that's when you don't have love for yourself, you do things like that on the job and on in different organizations. all this type stuff. You have to love yourself enough. I think today, Rainbow Push, Jesse Jackson stepped aside. And even though he loved civil rights, he loved helping people, he had
Mm-hmm.
to step aside and let somebody else take over.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's
it
time.
developed. Yeah, well, yeah, he developed a love for himself that said, you know what? Yeah, I've done enough. I'm gonna pump the brakes and I'm gonna enjoy me.
Yeah.
Now, some people don't know how to do that. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
all self love. That's why, like I said, when it sounded kind of comical at first when I said black men out here frolicking. They said, "Man, what you doing? You know, relaxing. You reduce stress. You keep blood pressure down. You reduce a lot of anxiety. One of the reasons that you got so many people that develop road rage, hostilities toward each other. You go into neighborhoods, there are people out there fussing and fighting. There's a lady got shot the other day, running out there, and somebody popped a cap in her because she came out of nowhere like a bat out of hell, and she made it's where opportunity met foolishness, and when opportunity and foolishness meet, guess what? It's going to be an exchange, and
Yeah.
most of the time, it's not going to be nice. So she lost love for herself, ended up getting shot. I don't think she did, but you know, hey, now she gonna have some scars because she gonna need to learn how to tone herself down and don't run up on everybody, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
she had to have some low self-esteem because the thing that she was running up on had nothing to do with her. It was dealing with somebody else. She didn't learn how to mind her own business. We got in the background, Julio holding up your own end. She couldn't
Mm-hmm.
hold up her own, and and these things happen when people got low self-esteem, when they got to tend to your business, can't
Yeah.
maintain their lane, you know, don't have enough stuff going on in their lives, so they hate what you're doing. That promotes jealousy, envy, strife, a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it does because a lot of people they do things because they don't like themselves and they're gonna make you not like you too. Make you
Oh
feel
yeah,
bad about loving you and who you are. But I tell people, look, you gotta love yourself. Take yourself out to dinner. You don't have to have somebody else to take you out to dinner. Take yourself out to dinner. Go shopping for yourself. Buy yourself something pretty. Go to the movies by yourself. You don't need somebody always to go with you. I know a lot of people they want their companion to go with them places. If they don't go, they stay home. No,
yeah,
no,
oh yeah,
you go by yourself. Love yourself enough to want something for you, not for somebody else. This is for you to make you feel good. Buy you something to make you feel good. You don't have to include somebody else because when you die and listen somebody shoot you off at the same time, you're gonna be dying by yourself. Live
they
for
don't put you in the
yourself.
same casket.
Huh?
Put you in the same casket.
Yeah, well, they don't. If it was a baby, yeah, but be two different caskets. I haven't seen a
Yeah,
double casket.
you ain't, but again, practicing self-love. So me, myself, and I time. You
Yeah,
you have to practice some time where you find out what you like, what you want, and most people never have that opportunity. Uh, I remember reading, I think that was Dr. King's wife. She had developed so much enthusiasm to be part of the civil rights movement. She didn't get a chance to do some of the things that she wanted. She was a
mm,
classical pianist, and she had to give that up. You know, and
yeah,
and she said doing she would go and play sometimes just to give herself uh uh something she wanted to do. That's even after he was dead. I say here, how do you distinguish between healthy self-love and being selfish? Ooh, that's a good one. Because when you love yourself, sometimes people think you're being selfish. They're saying,
yeah,
like there is some selfishness when it comes, sense of arrogance, where a man, see, if you love yourself, you'll take care of your family. Okay. Now there are some people, some men that won't take care of their family. Well, that
Mhm.
means in a way they still don't have self-love, because their family is the extension of them. If a man loves himself, just like the brother Abraham, he loved himself, so it wasn't hard for him to love his other son that was born to another woman. Uh, and sometimes, we think it can be selfish. Selfishness is a part of not loving self.
Yeah. Well, I think selfishness is more like all about me, 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 me. I don't care about you. It's me, me, me. No, but when you
Yeah.
have
Well,
self
you got to
love,
figure out
I can
why
love
is that.
me and love you at the same time. Just because
Mm-hmm.
I love me doesn't mean I can't love you. I can love me and still love you and share with you or whatever. But I'm not going to let you control my love for me. I'm not going to
Well,
let you take away from my love, my self
now
love.
when you pull the layers back, when you see contaminated self-love, that's contaminated self-love. That means that love that you have for yourself has been contaminated with something else. That's why it's hard for, if you love yourself enough. I think the Bible verse says, so God loved the world and gave his son. You got to love yourself at a high level that you still will make a sacrifice or love somebody. Uh, and that's a fine line. You know, See, some people, they say, well, I've been hurt so much, I can't accept the fact to share love with somebody. They can be in a relationship. A guy say, well, my last wife, she took every dime I had. So even though I got married, this woman, she ain't gonna get all the love from me. You know what I'm saying? She gonna get about 20%, because I can't love her 80, 90%, because I'm still regretting the first love. So a lot of time when you get a lot of selfishness, that's based on the fact that they had contaminated love somewhere in their life, and that made them selfish. And when you're selfish, you don't care about nobody else but you. You don't have
I
no
think in
compassion.
that case, he's guarding his heart rather than just being totally selfish. I'm not going to let that happen to me again. You know,
Right.
that's what that one is. It's like I'm not going to let anybody else hurt me. I'm going to love
Yeah.
you. I'm going to treat you right, but I'm not going to let you get to me like the other woman did.
Again, I'm gonna
That's
put
what,
these
and there's a
protective.
difference between loving yourself and being conceited. Because when you loving yourself, you can be confident. You can be confident, have confidence without being conceited. You know,
Yes.
so there is a difference. Conceited is all about me. Yeah, I got this. But confidence, yes, I know I got this. There's a difference. There's a
Well,
difference.
yeah. And you know, the family can feel when you love yourself, okay, and you're not selfish. When you love yourself, you'll have compassion for your spouse, your significant other, all of that. That'll be
Hmm.
part of the equation. You know, because if they hurt, you hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do anything to hurt or cause them harm. Now that's agape type love. You don't want to harm yourself, but at the same time, you're not trying to harm them. You know, so you. But if you selfish, you really don't give a blank about them or nobody else. It's all about you, and
Hmm.
uh, that can be hurtful in any relationship. Anytime you put two or more people together, you got somebody that's hurting. They either got a contaminated heart, it's been infected with betrayal or something, that they can't trust nobody, they can't believe in nobody, so therefore they selfish. They think they got to do it all. They don't want to be part. They cannot come together with another uh, entity and become whole,
Yeah, and
because
I
they
tell you
broke.
something else too. That being selfish and not caring about your spouse and stuff, that can be dangerous because I know two females who committed suicide,
Oh,
because of this. One, she was a virgin. She wouldn't give in to this guy until he married her. And after they got married, she came home one day and found him in bed with another woman. She was so devastated she killed herself. And then another girl, she was so in love with this dude. I'm not sure if he left her with somebody else or she found him with somebody else, but she committed suicide too. Now that's loving. I can love and I can hurt, but I'm not at that suicidal point, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can see things is getting ready to happen. You know, there gonna be some red flags somewhere. So it shouldn't be to that suicidal point that you got to go kill yourself. I love me more enough, no, more than that to kill myself over you. No,
Yeah.
no,
Well,
I,
we have to recognize the signs of low self-love. You know, now there's a meter. Uh, there's selfishness on one side. It might be right, and then on the other hand, there's uh something else, unselfishness or whatever. But in the middle, there's a balance. You got to have a balance where you know it evens out. Okay, and when it evens out, you're not giving up so much that you hurt yourself, and you're not taking so much that you hurt somebody else. That's a yin and a yang. That's the balance thing, the yin and the yang.
yeah,
When we get to that point as human beings, we have enough love and self-respect and empathy and care about ourselves that we want to make sure we the best, me, myself, and I, that I can be. But at the same time, I care enough about you so that what I do does not affect you in a way that minimizes your capability. And that's all part of self-love. When you can love yourself enough that you can still share space with other people. Now we can take a country, and I take America. Sometimes America is can be selfish because there was a thing where the guy said, "God bless America and no place else." Now, that's selfish.
yeah. God bless
and,
America, no place else.
yeah,
Yeah,
and sometimes we can be like that towards each other and other people. Even you can be selfish with your family, where you can protect your family so much and isolate your family so much and raise your family up on a pedestal so much until they become a threat to other families. I've seen that happen in families where the family, they was good
mm-hmm.
with themselves, but they was basically hurting other families. It's like it can be like a mafia family, a gang related family. They don't care about nobody else but what's in the group or what's in the family.
Yeah. See, that's not good. And you got to appreciate everybody else too. And one of the things I want to say that you got to love yourself, appreciate yourself, appreciate your talents and skills, because and you can't compare yourself to somebody else. And base your love on what somebody else is doing for themselves, because behind those closed doors you don't know what they're going through to make them rise above, to make them rise to look like they're rising. It could be just that. It appears as though they have this high self-esteem, they got everything going for them, but deep inside they're falling apart. So
Oh,
you can't base your self-love and your self-esteem on what somebody else is doing. Love yourself for who you are, for your skills, because God don't make ugly. He didn't make any mistakes. He knew what he was doing when he gave you your skills. You just got to appreciate them. And just because Sally Sue can sing real well, maybe you can make more money than Sally Sue. Maybe you can
mm,
write better than her or do something else better. You gonna have your skills too. You can't just compare apples and apples. It's not the same, apples and oranges or whatever. You can't compare the two. you
well,
know,
a good, and this is what I do, and I kind of kept that in my family a little. Sometimes, and oftentimes, you got to pat yourself on the back, give yourself a thumbs up, beat your own chest, give yourself a high five, a bump fist, rub your own forehead. You got to make yourself feel good. Okay. If you look
mhm,
for, if you look for outside entities to make you feel good. Whether it's buying something, you'll buy until the bank break you. You'll never be happy. You'll never feel good. But if you can find ways to love yourself, just me, myself, and I, you'll find ways to love other people, and you'll develop healthy relationships in any and all things that you do in all paths of life. That's just a method of life. The people that do that have healthy relationships.
Yeah. And you can't be real upset if you are a good person and you have a mate and you're really good to that person and that person decides they don't want you anymore. That's their loss, not yours. And you got to remember that too. They'll find out the grass ain't as green on the other side, and they're gonna try to come back to you, but you're gonna have to say no. When you were here, you didn't want me, you didn't appreciate me. Go back out there. When they don't want you, that could be a good thing, because they
That's
could be
setting
releasing.
boundaries.
Huh?
Setting boundaries. We have to, once you develop self-love, you'll start setting boundaries.
Yeah.
That puts you in a position where people don't cross those lines. Once you set those healthy boundaries for yourself, you know, that's not being selfish when you set boundaries for yourself. Some people say, they help people. They say, hey man, let somebody else help. You help sister so and so, help people so much. And then the first thing they say, man, she wouldn't be in the hospital. She just kept on going. But that's also a self-love deficiency where you pour into people so much that you forget about yourself. That's a deficiency. That's like a deficiency with a nutrition or vitamin deficiency. When you got a low self-esteem, you tend to put that in somebody else. And those people can be hurtful to themselves. Those are the people that are hurt or kill somebody. You say, man, I can't get rid of this woman. All I did was tell her hello and pat her on her head. And she's a stalker. Or it could be a guy. It's a good lady. She said, all I did was say, sir, have a nice day. But, he was so low on the self-esteem ladder that he thought that meant that I need to follow you home and climb into bed with you. Because he couldn't understand somebody just saying, being nice to him. That's a guy with low self-esteem. And it could be a woman, that gets in it, and that's why you need there are helplines that help people develop better self-esteem. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't have love for yourself, you are very little value in the long run to somebody else.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that. And it affects you in more than just at home and within. It affects your work. If you don't have high self-esteem and feel proud about what you do, you're not gonna do a good job. You're gonna do a sloppy job.
Oh yeah.
Making friends, you're gonna make sloppy friends or be, just not gonna be there. So you take pride and just remember you don't need anybody to validate you. That's
Oh
another
yeah.
thing. A lot of people need somebody to validate them in order for them to love themselves. No, you validate
Mhm.
yourself. God did that. God validated you. That's all the validation you need. So
Well, I think about it. Everybody is a byproduct of the in between the highest expectations that you have about me, myself, and I, and the lowest expectations that you have about me, myself, and I. You are somewhere in the middle. If you never thought about how low you can go, or never thought about how high you can go, or never challenged yourself on either end of the spectrum, uh, you have to figure out in life how to develop that balance. Okay?
mhm, yeah. So it is time for us to clear out of here. What do you want to leave with the audience?
Love yourself. Love your neighbor, love your family, love the creator, but love yourself first. It's hard for you to love the creator if you don't love yourself.
Right. Okay. So this is the end of our show. Loving yourself, loving me. That is our topic for today. Just remember, you don't need anybody to validate your love for yourself, because God has already did that. When He planted you here, He loved you. You are all you. He is all you. The validation that you need to have that self love. Love yourself, okay? Don't let nobody tell you that you shouldn't love yourself. Don't let nobody tell you you should have low self esteem or you're ugly and all that kind of stuff, because God didn't make a mistake. Okay, He knew exactly what He was doing. He don't make mistakes when He created you. He don't make mistakes when He give you these facial features. So when you look in the mirror and you think you look good, you look good. And what everybody else say, it doesn't matter, because it's what you feel for yourself. Okay, just remember that you don't need nobody else to validate you. Love yourself more than you love anybody else, and don't take crap from anybody just for the sake of love. Okay, because people will do things to you and you will accept that because you love them and you want them to love you. You don't have to take crap to get love. Okay, love yourself first. Okay, always love yourself first. And when you love yourself, and then it can spread out. It will spread. And when you love yourself, you ain't gonna take crap. You ain't gonna take somebody calling you names or saying you're ugly, or somebody want to hide you because they're ashamed of you. No, you love yourself. Take yourself out to dinner if you feel like it. You don't need nobody else to take you out. Buy yourself some jewelry or piece of clothing, or go shopping or something. You can do that for yourself. You don't need nobody else to do that for you. It's nice. It's nice to have somebody to go out with you and to buy things for you, but it's not mandatory. It is not mandatory. Love yourself. Do for yourself. Don't depend on anybody else for love. Okay? Love yourself. Don't depend on them. Until next week, we're going to say, loving me. I love myself some me. And you do the same thing. Y'all have a good one.